Okie dokie. I was just at the park before work flying my quadcopters. I flew all three because quad number 1 completely grounded. Quad number 2 completely grounded. Quad number 3 operational, but a little bit rough. But it was already that way, and I can't say exactly what the problem is. I never did tune the PIDs that well. I don't really know how to do that. I basically left the PIDs as they were when I got the copter, and I changed everything from attitude to rate mode. It's open pilot CC3D on an Eachine Racer 250. So quad number 1 is... So the good news is that although my 2 main quads are grounded, my dad gave me an Eachine Racer 250 Pro, which is very exciting because my main quad for the longest time, I mean, I'm poor, I don't have a lot of money, and I don't have lots of quads or anything, I'm a very new pilot, was an Eachine Racer 250 Classic. So the excitement for me is to feel the difference between Racer 250, which is more of an H frame, and a Racer 250 Pro, which is more of a X, true X. So the other good news, I guess, is that I will be busting out the Racer 250 Pro sooner than later because I can't afford the parts that I'm probably going to need to make my other 2 primaries flying again. So my quads are going to be the Racer 250 Pro primary and my Racer 250 backup, which will be my secondary. The number 1 quad is an Emax Nighthawk 250, kind of classic style. There's another Nighthawk 250 that's out nowadays, and it's different. So if you look it up by Nighthawk 250, you'll probably see something that's not what I have. The what I've got is a clone. It is a LHI kit. They mostly have a ZMR 250 clone. Mine is a Nighthawk 250 clone. It's more of a 280. It could hold 6-inch props. So that copter, I think, is only having a broken receiver. So the receiver appears to be sending miscellaneous changes in PWM, periodic spikes or something, that causes the copter to try to assume a whole bunch of new attitudes all in a row. So mostly pitch, sometimes roll, but mostly pitch is what changes. Or it's mostly roll, sometimes pitch, but mostly it's side-to-side jerky roll action. It's not the gyro, as far as I can tell, because I changed the flight controller with the same receiver and I got the same problem. And then I changed the receiver and it fixed it, and then I put the old flight controller back in and it remained fixed. And then I went and I had some pretty good crashes into the mud and it's broken again. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe the receiver is in an undesirable location, so it's taking wax or something's happening to it. Maybe it's getting wet and it needs waterproofing. I don't know what it is, but the more crashing I do, and I'm not hitting it, that's the thing, but the more crashing I do, I might be hitting it. The worse it gets, and this morning it was unflyable. So at first you can correct it and you can fly, but you can't really fly, but you have to be really careful, but it stays airborne. But then what happens is it won't even take off, it just flips upside down, and it stays that way. And mussing with the wires was fixing it, which is an interesting thing. So maybe the receiver is okay, and I need a new wiring harness, or maybe I need to reassess the pins, or maybe I can try to solder directly to the board and skip out on a bunch of pins. Racer 250 standard, that's my original Copter. We'll call it the Lights 250 because it has lights on it. It might be just only the motors, and I have a whole spare set of motors for it, but they're not stock motors. They're LHI motors, which are lighter weight, less durable. So for that one, I guess my first move is to try to change out the motors. I'm just going to replace all at once and then keep these motors as backups, which might not be that great of an idea, because it seems like all of them are breaking at once, and I don't know which one is going to be a good backup, but maybe only one of them. And then my last Racer 250 doesn't have very steep of a camera angle. The camera doesn't have the IR filter removed, so I can't really fly it in all of the conditions that I normally fly, which is when it's still kind of dark out. And the PIDs are not really tuned up that well, which I can probably try to fix. It's really unstable. It doesn't hold its attitude very well. Maybe it needs more eye gain or something. I have been noticing that P gain, too much P gain might cause a slowing effect. It might slow the Copter down. So even though it holds a stable attitude very well and it feels locked in, it doesn't get up to speed very well. And I think it's too much P gain, which did make me think maybe we could have a brake. Like if it was a car, or maybe if you had a trigger on your controller where the trigger adjusted the PIDs as you graded it up. So the triggers on controllers nowadays are a potentiometer, they're not a button. So if you had graded control over the trigger, full on, and then, you know, everywhere in between, maybe the PIDs could act as a brake. So as you were approaching corners or something like that, you could hold the brake and it would adjust your PIDs to slow the Copter down. I thought that would be a pretty neat idea. I did consider that maybe my transmitter was causing the funny receiver problem, but jiggling the wires on the Copter seemed to make things better. And my car is dying from overheat, which is really bad news because of traffic. So I don't know what to do. But I'm very excited to be trying my new Racer 250 Pro to compare the True X versus the H-frame with consistent material builds. That they're all Racer, Ishin Racer 250s, plastic arm.